New at 6, we dig deeper into the case of a man accused of shoplifting at a grocery store who died after security tackled him. Now we learn there is a surveillance tape, what it shows. Plus, taking away parking spaces downtown for bike corrals. Some drivers are upset. Wait until you find out how many spaces there are today compared to 10 years ago at 6.
His name is Mopar, and he's a lot bigger than your average cat. Take a look. This mammoth kitty tips the scale at a whopping 38.5 pounds. Mopar's owners say the cat fit in the palm of their hand when they first got him. That was 8 years ago. Now he's more than a handful. I guess that's safe to say. Veterinarians say Mopar has no health issues. He's just a really big cat. And it's not apparently that unusual because Mopar has siblings that are also same size he is.
Mopar's very fluffy. Nightly News is straight ahead tonight. The financial crisis puts both presidential candidates to the test. A look at who's scoring higher points with voters.
Also, how the people of Houston are making a difference, opening their arms to Katrina victims. Now they're helping each other, from saving family pets to even bigger acts of kindness.
That's next on Nightly News. We'll be back with more local news in 1/2 hour.
On our broadcast tonight, the big gamble. The federal government prepares a massive, unprecedented plan to bail out the financial markets, one that could leave taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars deeper in debt. Crisis management. This financial crisis hands a huge issue to the presidential candidates. Which one of them will get to deal with it as president? Superbug, a new strain of infectious spore. It's hard to kill it, and it's a growing worry in American hospitals. And making a difference this Friday night in the awful aftermath of Hurricane Ike, how some kind-hearted volunteers are sending a tough message. Don't mess with Texas. Nightly News begins now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. Last night there was an emergency meeting in Washington. The leaders of Congress were told the nation's financial system was facing imminent collapse. One veteran senator who was present said it was the most sobering briefing he's ever heard on any topic. Today we woke up to the largest federal bailout in U.S. history. So now, on top of owning Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the mortgage concerns, on top of buying this week AIG, the insurance conglomerate, the federal government, that means all of us, have just taken on a mountain of bad debt, easily the biggest federal bailout in history, provided it goes through. And before this is over, the bill for it could approach $1 trillion. That is roughly the cost of 2 Iraq wars. But it may be the only remedy to avoid, again, what our own government feared was a financial collapse. And again tonight, we begin here with CNBC's Carl Quintanilla.
After more than a year of waiting for the housing crisis to heal itself, the U.S. government today offered its solution, and it's you. Washington rolled out 3 historic measures to save the economy. Most important, a new entity financed by taxpayers to buy up toxic mortgages no one wants and hold them until they're hopefully one day profitable.
This action does entail risk, but we expect that this money will eventually be paid back.
That may be a tall bet. Even the president's own Treasury Secretary today said the bill could total hundreds of billions of dollars. Meanwhile, fearing a run on the bank by American families, the government also today guaranteed for the first time that cash you may have in a money market fund, a longtime safe haven, is now insured, just like bank accounts. And to soothe the stock market, it banned for almost 2 weeks what's called short selling of financial stocks, essentially a bet the price of a stock will go down. It's one reason the market's been under pressure.
Here we go.
And together, all the government actions were cause for celebration on Wall Street today, where investors piled in, overwhelming traders and clogging online brokerage accounts. The Dow up almost 369 points, but down just 34 for the week, despite the drama.
I've never seen such pandemonium in the markets. I've only been in the business for 57 years.
That pandemonium has made some Americans question the underlying health of our economy, especially on a week that saw titans of business either die or get sold. Now, the hard part begins. figuring out how to keep banks, consumers, and the government from repeating some very costly mistakes.
When we get through this difficult period, which we will, our next task must be to improve the financial regulatory structure so that these past excesses do not reoccur. This is a critical debate for another day.
Secretary Paulson and Congress will work on that housing bailout over the weekend into next week. Some economists believe this is the closest we've come, Brian, to FDR's New Deal. And putting it together is not going to be easy or pretty.
Another unbelievable day as part of an unbelievable week. Carl, thanks for being here with us for all of it. And with us tonight from CNBC Global Headquarters, Jim Cramer. From the New York Stock Exchange, Maria Bartiromo. Good evening and welcome to you both. And Jim, I was watching this afternoon when you said we were on the precipice of a depression. Is that really the case?
Absolutely. This is about avoiding the Great Depression, too. This is about going to your automatic teller machine and having money still come out. This was necessary. I've been a relentless critic of this administration. Not today. This was well done.
So, Maria, there are folks, hard to believe, who don't agree with our friend Mr. Cramer. What's the other side of that?
Well, you know what, Brian? There is a downside because you can't have an expectation that the government is going to be there to bail you out every time you decide to take on too much risk. And the debate is happening right now about whether or not the federal government should be there, given the fact that these firms took on all of this risk. They made the decision to take on so much leverage. They should be allowed to fail. That's the debate going on right now.
And sometimes you have to go with the wisdom of the American people on this. We got an email today from a viewer of ours in Kansas that made a lot of sense to a lot of us. We'll put it on the screen. It reads, are these government bailouts of AIG, Bear Stearns, etc., simply prolonging the inevitable, or should the government, next screen, let the market correct itself, and if some of these large companies are liquidated, so be it? Jim?
There was a time when there was a president by the name of Herbert Hoover. He wanted the market to decide. He did nothing. We look back at that era with shame and disgust. This was taking that off the table. We needed to do this in order to be able to survive and not have Great Depression, the sequel.
Maria, in just a few seconds, if it lends itself to that, this was the kind of jittery week in New York. A lot of people had to go back to 9/11 to remember how they felt then. How do you feel going into this weekend?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, I'm feeling optimistic, Brian. I think that the regulators are on this issue. I think we will get through it. I think there are a lot of reasons to feel good about things, even though we will see layoffs, and that is going to have ripple effects throughout the economy. Things are pretty slow right now, but this economy is resilient. We'll get through it.
Our thanks to our friends Maria Bartiromo, Jim Cramer, and Carl Quintanilla before them. The swiftness and the intensity of this week's events have caught even many financial experts by surprise. So we asked CNBC's Dylan Ratigan to step back, take a look at how we got here in the first place.
This financial crisis started with the availability of cheap credit. In the old days, to get a mortgage, a buyer would go to the bank, show proof of an income, provide a substantial down payment, and become a homeowner. In the new model, banks were encouraged and even got fees to loan money to home buyers with poor credit and no money down. Making things worse, Wall Street got into the game, agreeing to insure the banks in case homeowners didn't pay their home loans. But the trouble is, Wall Street did not keep enough money in reserves, $1 for every 30 lent out. And when homeowners began defaulting, Wall Street couldn't keep up, bringing the American financial system to the brink.
So who's to blame? In a sense, we all are. From the small mom and pop that took advantage of the low minimum payment on their credit cards to grow their business, to trillion-dollar institutions. If you thought you could reap the rewards of easy credit without the consequences, this is the proof that you can't.
Leaving the U.S. government to decide it had to step in and assume the mortgages. Why? So American banks could function again and continue lending you money. Dylan Ratigan, CNBC.
Of course, CNBC will continue its live coverage of this crisis on Wall Street tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Again, Sunday night, they'll be back on the air at 8 p.m. The aftershocks from this financial earthquake will be felt for years to come, of course, well into this next president's term. Both candidates for that job focused on this crisis today and on each other, with 46 days to go now until Election Day.
This is a guy who spent nearly 3 decades in Washington. And after spending the entire campaign saying I haven't been in Washington long enough, he apparently now is willing to assign me responsibility for all of Washington's failures. I think it's pretty clear that Senator McCain's a little panicked right now.
Maybe just this once, he could spare us the lectures and admit to his own poor judgment in contributing to these problems. The crisis on Wall Street, my friends, started in the Washington culture of lobbying and influence peddling, and he was right square in the middle of it.
Barack Obama and John McCain from earlier today, and joining us for a look at where this thing stands tonight, our political director, Chuck Todd. Chuck, there's an axiom in the politics business that a week is a year in politics, or a week is a lifetime. Well, this was that week.
We lived it. When you think about where we were one Friday ago, we were talking about how's Barack Obama going to get back on his feet? How's he going to shift the Sarah Palin news off of the front pages? And then Monday came, which of course has been described by some as an economic 9/11, and everything changed. And you could watch the body language actually in the two candidates. Obama suddenly feeling confident that he can talk about this issue, he can be aggressive about the economy. McCain struggling for all week long, trying to figure out what was the right thing to say, how much does he criticize Washington, trying to grab onto the word reform, does he be a deregulator, a pro-regulator. By the end of this week, he finally feels comfortable going after Obama, because really he's got no other card to play on this.
A Democratic Politico said to me this week, if the Democrats do their job, they'll make this fundamentals of the economy quote to McCain what mission accomplished was to President Bush. I presume when you and I see each other in a week at the first debate, it'll come up.
Look, we are a week away. That debate is supposed to be about foreign policy and national security. Given everything that's happening, given the fact that Hank Paulson and Congress are going to be negotiating what exactly this new government entity is going to be, it's going to be hard for the economy not to be on the front pages. And this is going to dominate maybe the rest of the campaign, Brian.
Well put. Our political director, Chuck Todd, in our Washington newsroom tonight. Chuck, thanks. And now we turn to news tonight from China. In the less than 4 weeks since the Olympic Games there ended, we've been through political conventions, hurricanes, and now this major financial crisis. But we turn our attention back to China tonight because they're going through a crisis of their own right now. Contaminated milk and baby formula. It has sickened thousands of children. 4 are dead so far. It's a huge story there. We have our report tonight from NBC's Adrian Mong in Beijing.
This morning in Beijing, anxious families lined up outside the hospitals, waiting to get their children examined as the crisis over tainted powdered milk deepened. Ma Tenbi had fed his granddaughter the powdered milk.
We were worried. She had kidney stones, and we took her to the hospital.
So far, 4 infants have died, and more than 6,200 others are sick, nearly 160 with acute kidney failure. All of them from drinking baby formula made from powdered milk that contained melamine, an industrial chemical that was used to bulk up protein in the milk. Today, Chinese health officials said all children from 3 to 7 years old should be examined. And then, more bad news. The government announced melamine had also been found in liquid milk. Immediately, Chinese supermarket chains began pulling the milk off shelves. In Hong Kong and Singapore, Chinese-made yogurt and other dairy products were also cleared out. Even Starbucks told customers it would stop putting milk in its drinks at some of its coffee shops in China.
The Chinese government says it's investigating whether any of the tainted powdered milk was shipped to Asia and Africa. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which has done its own investigation, says that none of the milk products in question can be found in the U.S. Adrian Mong, NBC News, Beijing.
When Nightly News continues from New York this Friday night, a growing fear in hospitals that a germ could be growing into another one of those superbugs we hear about. And later, their homes have been wrecked. A lot of them, they're living without power or water. They needed an army of volunteers, and guess what? One showed up.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain,
for purple mountain majesties,
above the fruited plain.
On June 1st, 2009, new document requirements will make getting home from Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean, by land or sea, more efficient.
Now isn't that beautiful, America?
Learn more about the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative at getyouhome.gov.
Introducing generic prescriptions for less than $1 a week at Walgreens. For less than $1 a week on more than 400 generics. Get big savings on over 5,000 other generic and name brand prescriptions.
We joined and saved on John's prescription. It wasn't covered by our insurance plan.
Plus, we earn a 10% reward when we buy Walgreens brand products.
Stop by today to see how much you'll save and get $50 in free coupons. The Prescription Savings Club, only at Walgreens.
Meet me, Meg. I've got osteoporosis, but I'm an on-the-go kind of woman. So when my doctor told me about Reclast, the once-a-year IV osteoporosis treatment that can help protect me while I'm on the go for an entire year, it had Meg written all over it. My doctor said once-a-year Reclast can help re-strengthen my bones to help make them resistant to fracture for 12 months. The thing about Reclast is no other osteoporosis treatment is approved to help protect from fracture in more places. Hip, spine, even other bones.
You should not take Reclast if you're on Zometa, have low blood calcium, kidney problems, or you're pregnant, plan to become pregnant, or nursing. Take calcium and vitamin D daily. Tell your doctor if you develop severe muscle, bone, or joint pain, or if you have dental problems, as rarely job problems have been reported. The most common side effects include flu-like symptoms, fever, muscle or joint pain, and headache.
Ask your doctor about Reclast, year-long protection for on-the-go women.
A deadly love triangle that left a teenage boy dead. Hear from the man who pulled the trigger. All new Dateline tonight, 9/8 Central on NBC.
John McCain, Barack Obama, the first presidential debate. Join Brian Williams and Tom Brokaw next Friday at 9 Eastern on NBC.
As promised, we turn now to health news tonight. At least 2 million Americans every year end up with infections while and because they are hospitalized. Now there is increasing concern about a newly virulent strain of a very common germ that we all actually carry. Our report from our chief science correspondent, Robert Bazell.
Billie Jean Barger came close to dying a few years ago when she picked up an infection called C. difficile at a Florida healthcare facility.
It was just terrible.
And her daughter, Elizabeth, says she has suffered continuing debilitating attacks since.
In the first year, she was in and out of the hospital 9 separate times.
C. difficile, or C. diff, has emerged in recent years in a new strain, a superbug. The Centers for Disease Control estimates that 500,000 Americans a year are now getting sick, mostly at hospitals and nursing homes.
In terms of deaths, it's probably at least 10,000, actually more likely 15,000. It could be even as high as 30,000.
Everyone carries C. diff in their intestine. When patients get antibiotics to kill other germs, the C. diff, which can hibernate in hardy spore form, can break out as severe diarrhea. One of the big problems is that Purell and other alcohol-based hand sanitizers that are widely used don't kill C. diff spores. In fact, they may encourage their growth. The solution? Washing hands with old-fashioned soap and water. At the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, which has an excellent infection control record, there is constant washing with soap, water, and disinfectant, and monitoring for C. diff. Infected patients go immediately into isolation.
All of our caregivers wear gowns and gloves when caring for the patient, and they wash their hands with soap and water at every patient interaction.
Another key to controlling C. diff, experts say, is to use antibiotics only when they are absolutely necessary. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
And we're back in a moment tonight with our series on hotspots. How will the next president deal with a tough-talking adversary right in our backyard?
Like that's ever gonna happen. So make sure you're protected with Tena Serenity's complete line of bladder weakness products. Tena, real protection for real life. And try Tena overnight pads, especially designed for lie-down protection so you can get a good night's sleep.
I'm Mark Goldston, Chairman and CEO of NetZero. All internet providers take you to the same internet, so why pay more to get there? NetZero is only $9.95 a month, and we give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-NET-ZERO or visit netzero.com.
Want whiter teeth? Not sure what to choose? Crest White Strips is the #1 dentist-recommended brand. We use the same enamel-safe ingredient dentists use. Satisfaction guaranteed. So what are you waiting for? The secret to a whiter smile is in the strip. Crest White Strips.
You, the American workers, are the best in the world. But your economic security has been put at risk by the greed of Wall Street. That's unacceptable. My opponent's only solutions are talk and taxes. I'll reform Wall Street and fix Washington. I've taken on tougher guys than this before.
Change is coming. John McCain.
I'm John McCain, and I approve this message.
Meet Erica. Grand Poobah of pasta. Chancellor of cheese. Connoisseur of cold. She keeps her ingredients in Glad bags, the easy way to help keep food fresh and handy. And now Glad bags are even easier to use. They're designed to grip with new taller tabs and more ridges. Effortless. Go easy. Get Glad.
Tim, nobody ever asked me what I want to be when I grow up. Maybe it's your name. Richard? No, Smucker.
When your last name is Smucker and you live in Orville, everyone knows what you'll do when you grow up. You're gonna make the world's best jam.
I love jam.
For 5 generations, with a name like Smucker's, it has to be good.
Sunday, Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson and New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg on Wall Street's financial fallout, only on Meet the Press.
We're back and we continue now our series of in-depth reports on flashpoints around the world that will confront whoever's lucky enough to be our next president. They're not all as obvious as Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Russia. One of the biggest hotspots is here in our own hemisphere, the oil-rich nation of Venezuela, with its controversial leader, Hugo Chavez. We get more from our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel in Caracas.
In downtown Caracas, streets and markets are calm. But under the surface, there's concern. Venezuela's self-described socialist revolutionary president, Hugo Chavez, is putting the country on a collision course with the United States.
President Chavez is working hard to move Latin America out of the influence of the U.S., out of the business of the U.S.
Just last week, Chavez expelled the U.S. ambassador, accusing Washington of plotting a coup, but offered no proof.
Chavez is also reaching out beyond Venezuela. He signed billions of dollars in joint ventures with Iran, supplies subsidized fuel to Cuba, and in November plans naval exercises with Russia in the Caribbean.
Russia already sent 2 long-range bombers to Venezuela and is selling fighters, anti-aircraft missiles, and armored vehicles.
And when you have this cabal of nations that are hostile to the United States all working together, obviously it's something that should concern us greatly.
So why pick a fight with the U.S.? Some analysts say to divert attention away from corruption allegations and 30% inflation ahead of elections here in November.
The administration of President Chavez might look for conflict with the U.S. to justify his staying in power in Venezuela. He's looking for an excuse.
But for all the bluster, Chavez this week told reporters he doesn't want to cut economic ties with the United States. Venezuela exports half of its oil to the U.S. And oil revenue helps Chavez maintain his political power base in hilltop slums and narrow alleys like Las Mayas in West Caracas.
Hola, buenas tardes.
67-year-old Emma Dia told us she supports Chavez. He helps the poor, she said. Chavez has opened free health clinics, subsidized markets, and factories for unemployed women. It's oil money that has emboldened Hugo Chavez to challenge the U.S. with rhetoric and new alliances. Richard Engel, NBC News, Caracas.
We're back in a moment with the help wanted in Texas and the help that has arrived.
When it comes to quitting smoking, are you a tortoise or a hare? If you're a tenacious tortoise determined to quit, Take the first step. See your doctor and ask if prescription Chantix is right for you. The Chantix approach is a pill with a program. And take note, it's a non-nicotine pill. It helps keep nicotine from reaching key receptors in the brain. It can effectively reduce that urge to smoke. And because slip-ups happen, you can't have too much support. So include your doctor, friends and family, and consider Get Quit, a support plan for Chantix users. If you notice agitation, depressed mood, or changes in behavior that are not typical for you, or if you develop suicidal thoughts or actions, stop taking Chantix and call your doctor right away. Some patients have had these symptoms while taking or after stopping Chantix. Talk to your doctor about any history of depression or other mental health problems which may worsen while taking Chantix. Tell your doctor which medicines you're taking, as they may work differently when you quit smoking. Chantix dosing may be different if you have kidney problems. The most common side effect is nausea. Patients also reported trouble sleeping and vivid, unusual or strange dreams. Until you know how Chantix may affect you, use caution when driving or operating machinery. The quitting road isn't for sprinters, but stay with it. Studies show 44% were able to quit at the end of 12 weeks. So talk to your doctor about the benefits of quitting smoking and ask if Chantix is right for you.
I always thought calcium and vitamin D and exercise would keep my bones healthy. But I got osteoporosis anyway, so my doctor started me on once monthly Boniva. And he told me something important. Boniva works with your body to help stop and reverse bone loss. My test results proved I was able to stop and reverse my bone loss with Boniva. And studies show after 1 year on Boniva, 9 out of 10 women did too.
Don't take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or can't sit or stand for at least 1 hour. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you have difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. If severe bone, joint, and or muscle pain develops, tell your doctor.
I've got this one body and this one life, so I wanted to stop my bone loss. But I did more than that. I reversed it with Boniva. Ask your doctor if Boniva is right for you.
Boniva helps stop and reverse bone loss.
This is a KGW News Channel 8 update.
Next, parking spaces for cars turned over to bikes. Cyclists are thrilled at 6, what motorists are telling us. Plus, coyotes have worn out their welcome in Sherwood. They're close calls. They have police on the case.
And the sun came out today. Will it stay out for your weekend forecast? The details coming up after Nightly News.
Making a difference. Brought to you by GlaxoSmithKline. Today's medicines, tomorrow's miracles.
Normally, we would be saying goodnight from Texas tonight after a week of covering the damage in Houston and Galveston after Hurricane Ike. In fact, we were on our way there, flying there when the financial collapse took place, and we were forced back to New York to cover it. There's a lot of suffering going on in Texas. We plan to go back to Texas midweek next week. But in the meantime, they need help, and the right people have shown up to help. They are making a difference in the process, and we learned tonight from NBC's Don Teague, they've shown up in big numbers.
On the storm-ravaged Texas coast, more than 1 million homes have no power. Hundreds of thousands wait in long lines for food, drinking water, and ice. Thousands more have no homes to return to, or like Barbara Kitchen, houses that are now unlivable.
You just pray. That's all you can do.